And I'm like, holy Hannah, what is that? It was like my first year of college. Second year of college. I'm like, what is that? And you know, Tommy's dancing around and Teddy's doing whatever. And I'm like, what is this? And I kid you not. 2 weeks later, that record was everywhere. 2 weeks later. And that was the beginning of the whole Crystal Waters Gypsy Woman scenario. That's how that was the transition, at least for me. That was the transition. The only thing, because what seems relevant to me right now is the whole thing with the fact that I'm sitting here with this character, right? Who is Rod started off in my mind with doing the dance music thing because he's always been cool, right? He's always been the accepted one. He knows how to talk to people. People talk to him. He's an incredible guy from top to bottom. And I don't think that we would be anywhere near what we are like as individuals without him and what he brought to the table. Kevin, like a force of nature, man. I mean, his whole thing, from what I remember, he's always been a LL Cool J fan. It didn't matter who was out there. It didn't matter whether Big Daddy Kane was coming and stomping all over him. It ain't matter that KRS-One came with the lyrical stuff. It didn't matter that Eric B. and Rakim came with some serious. He was always a LL Cool J fan. Who knows this cat ends up going and working for Def Jam. Once he decided that he really wanted to do it, he just went and did it. And again, you know, we wouldn't be what we are without his spirit, man, within what we were doing. And you know, the two that's least talked about, which is Jam and Moses. Beatmaster Moses was a bad dude, I think. But the thing is that he was better than I think he ever knew he was.
I told people, a lot of people don't even know that a lot of the music that we rapped on and did on, Wayne did all that.
He did all
did everything. Yep. But he just wasn't talking about it. But I think somebody asked me at the other thing. They asked like, well, who did a lot of the music and stuff? I said, Wayne actually is the main ingredient.
Yeah, because right, you got to understand, it was kind of like back then. It's almost like it was like a segregated thing. Like everybody had their role, and I never really wanted to get into somebody else's piece because I wanted to be the best at the DJ part of it that I could be. So I wasn't trying to make no beats, and I certainly wasn't trying to do no dang on rhyming. I was trying to make sure that my part was the best of it. And Wayne, the only way I can explain somebody like Wayne to you is that when he came up with something that was terrible, it was terrible. But when he came up with the goods,
it was great.
It was over. The whole thing, even like with Get the Hoe and doing whatever, all of that stuff, if it wasn't for him, none of that would be possible. Junie was just great DJ. You know, Junie was more like the guy at that time. He was the guy that was jack of all trades. He could do everything that everybody was doing. He could rhyme. He could dance. He could DJ his tail off. And you know, like again, because he was the oldest one of us, he had resources the rest of us just didn't have. So the group would definitely not have been. So more than me promoting what it is that I'm doing with anything else, I just want to say that what you guys are doing, helping to shed some light on the history of what Baltimore was at the time. And like I said, we didn't know. We were like just trying to do the best that we could do. Maybe make a name for ourselves in this thing.
Get some likes.
Yeah. You know, it was, you know, at one point I think it was all about, you know, let's do this, get as much limelight as we can get, and right. You know, and say peace. I never knew that this would end up the way that it has ended up, but all of that is the foundation for where musically Baltimore sits now. The whole thing, from the Metro stuff to the Odell stuff to, you know, I mean, the Odell stuff, which that's a whole nother conversation. But you know, what Frank Ski did, what Reggie Reg did, and you know, a lot of times I would say to myself that, you know, the sound is supposed to be pure, it's supposed to be raw, it's supposed to be not, you know, this blah 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 blah. But every facet of it, you know, even what Reggie and Frank and you know, like Cisco and them cats, everything that we did sort of as a collective builds on one thing and helps to create what it is that is what I'm gonna say is the sound of Baltimore. You know, from Scotty B and Sean Caesar all the way on down. You know, back to Wayne Davis, yeah, Griff. I mean, Griff is. We're not even talk about Griff. Yeah, that's a. Yeah, he.
I call Griff my other Spen.
Yeah, because that, you know, I was doing the Flashback Saturday Night Dance Party was something I started, long and short, and I started it coming out of college because my instructor was real tight with Harold Pompey, who was program director at WWIN at the time, before it was 95.9. So next thing I know, I'm working midnight to 6. Yeah, this is Sean Spencer on WWIN.
I call every night.
Yeah, so I'm just like radio announcer trying to cut my chop. Even though I knew it from WVB, it was kind of like a shoe-in, so I'm just doing the stuff. All of a sudden, which I never really wanted to happen, all of a sudden, these dudes at WWIN, you DJ Spen? Yeah. I mean, you never told us you didn't DJ. Like, because nobody asked. And then next thing you know, I'm doing like these functions. I did this one function, and I kid you not, I couldn't get nobody there. I didn't know what I was doing, you know, playing these records for like relatively old school cats. Harold Pompey comes up to me, he says, "You playing some high stuff. Play Flashlight." I said, "Play what?" He said, "Play Flashlight." I kid you not, I played Flashlight. This is at the 5th Regiment Armory. And I mean, everybody was just chilling. Yeah. I played Flashlight, whole place, like on fire. I was like, okay. So Harold's like, he's like, helping me figure out some stuff. It's like, we're gonna do this on the radio. I'm like, what? It's like, every Saturday night, you bring this stuff. That was it. Flashback Saturday Night Dance Party, doing this thing. Griff, fast forward 5 years later, and then I'm getting out of here. 5 years later, I started getting these phone calls from this cat. Yeah, what is that record that you just played right there? I'm like, okay, so, I mean, and he would call religiously, like, who are you? And one day he just said, oh, my name's Griff. All right. So we just keep calling every Saturday, without fail, every single one. Trying to figure out what is this, what is that, what is this, what is that. So one day, I don't even remember how this happened, but one day, he brings me a tape or something. I don't know whether it was over my house or whether it was to the station. He brings me this tape, and I'm playing it, I'm like, okay. Next thing I know, this little dude, who in my mind was just, yo, you being a pain, yo, go away. Next thing you know, I'm hearing him DJ, and I'm like, yo, okay, you all right.